The maritime industry is a cash cow of any economy if well harnessed, boosting its GDP, especially for third world countries like Nigeria. Zoe Maritime Resources, in its continuous quest to ensure development in this sector, put together the 7th Lagos International Maritime Conference and Exhibition Week 2022 with the theme New Technologies for Greener Shipping in Africa from September 13th to September 15th, 2022 at the Lagos Oriental Hotel, Victoria Island, Lagos, Nigeria. The three-day event, which drew industry experts and participants from various countries within and outside Africa, was kick-started by an opening remark by the convener of the event and chairman, Zoe Maritime Resources Limited, in the person of Barrister Orishima Tosan Edodo Emore.
Now, the theme of this conference is New Technologies for Greener Shipping in Africa. Naturally, we have borrowed the essence of the IMO's World Maritime Day. We do that all the time as our custom. The conference shall be relating this theme to various subjects in the maritime industry in Africa. Such subjects as the topical issues in maritime security in the Gulf of Guinea, the marine environment, maritime transportation, logistics and port development, maritime training, education and law, as well as effects on women in maritime. Every new technology thrives on existing infrastructure. Maritime infrastructure is no exception. The new technologies that will sustain environmentally friendly shipping in Africa will also dwell on maritime infrastructure. In 2018, the theme of the Lagos International Maritime Week was developing maritime infrastructure for Africa. At that meeting, this House resolved inter alia that the maritime policies of African countries must undergo a paradigm shift from dwelling on individual modes of transportation and development in silos to a strategy that embraces a balanced and integrated, modally complementary transport system that not only takes account of sustainability and technological challenges, but which also takes into account the wider multiple uses of our oceans. We also decided that ports, as a major part of the shipping infrastructure, are top value generating facilities that stimulate trade and also serve as revenue generating streams for governments, and that it's a very veritable source of employment. Therefore, efficiency and development is extremely important for the African continent. It's a business-to-business conference, which is an integral part of the Lagos International Maritime Week. And the aim is to stimulate maritime business in Nigeria, not only in Nigeria, but in the West and Central African sub-region, so that Africa begins to contribute substantially to world trade. And we do that not only by physically transporting things to other countries, but also having events like this, which creates opportunities for networking. And so I invite everyone to make new friends and also to visit the exhibition stands and see what is going on there. Because, of course, I said for the first time we're having Namibia on exhibition, we're having Greece on exhibition, we're having our sponsors and other companies on exhibition. So visit the exhibition stands and make new friends and make new businesses. Thank you very much, and God bless you.
The first day of the conference was characterized by goodwill messages, keynote address by the representative of the Honorable Minister of Transportation, Engineer Muazu Sambo, public lectures by Otumba Kunle Folari, and 3 roundtable sessions.
Shipping, as you know, represents the cornerstone of global trade. Shipping represents the vehicle that drives the entire serving seas, oceans together to deliver prosperity to the world. Therefore, having now brought shipping and new technology knowledge to Nigeria today. Nigeria represents Africa in many events. Nigeria has the largest maritime space in Africa. Over 900 nautical miles of coastal. Over 20 nautical miles, 200 nautical miles of economic space. Over 12 nautical miles of territorial waters. Indeed, therefore, Nigeria represents the goodness and the best of Africa. So the theme today is appropriate. It's very appropriate because we are going to get knowledge of what has been going on in the world in trying to introduce technology into shipping.
The first roundtable session, moderated online by Vice Admiral Dele Ezoba, retired, former Chief of Naval Staff, Nigerian Navy, focused on maritime security in the Gulf of Guinea.
You are all aware that the Nigerian Navy was established in 1956 with the primary responsibility of carrying out contemporary duties. However, the 1964 Act expanded the duties of the Nigerian Navy to include the projection of force beyond national boundaries in addition to the naval defense of Nigeria. The amendment to the role of the Nigerian Navy implied more acquisition that created the foundation for a very naval force in Nigeria. Consequently, the Nigerian Navy began to acquire frigates, corvettes, landing ship tanks, fast attack craft, and mine countermeasure vessels, among others, which were basically to protect national interests against conventional threats. However, world events within the past 2 decades have changed the nature of maritime threat to predominantly non-conventional, which include piracy and sea robbery, hijack and kidnapping, smuggling in weapons, drug and narcotics, terrorism, as well as maritime pollution, among others. These threats have therefore compelled a rethink of naval acquisition to a more technologically driven acquisition of platform and equipment to adequately detect, intercept, neutralize unconventional threats. Accordingly, Nigerian Navy has over the years incorporated the use of technology, chiefly the information communication and technology capabilities in curbing maritime insecurity in the national maritime domain and by extension the Gulf of Guinea. The adoption of ICT in maritime surveillance, which is commonly referred to as maritime domain awareness in our own parlance, is all about generating actionable intelligence to successfully carry out various maritime tasks such as counterterrorism and maritime law enforcement operations.
The second roundtable session, moderated by Oluseyi Oluyede, Managing Director, Niger Benue Transportation Company Limited, focused on marine environment investments in new technologies to support greener shipping.
This year's theme is centered on new technologies for greener shipping in Nigeria. This is indeed a significant theme. As you are aware, the advances in technology systems enable more data collection, which can be analyzed and integrated into the decision making at all levels. This digital transformation will profoundly impact African shipping by creating a more connected, integrated, and efficient maritime industry in the continent. The value of technology in the maritime industry cannot be overemphasized. A huge percentage of Africa's trade is carried out by sea, making maritime transport essential to our economy. You will agree with me that shipping is the most cost-effective and eco-friendly way to move goods and raw materials all around the world. Customers' demands and expectations are higher than ever before, and there's an intense pressure on shipping organizations to operate more efficiently, strategically, and profitably.
I believe that we understand when we talk about greening in shipping, I'm sure we know that it's just a process of adopting greener, environmentally friendly energy sources in the operation of vessels and port facilities to reduce greenhouse gases and to protect the natural environment, protect the ports, the shipping activities, promote trade and economic growth. However, the energy consumption and emissions generated during its operations pose a huge environmental challenge to inland, rivers, and coastal environments. Studies have shown that presently more than 90% of inland water vessels use diesel engines, which is the main source of nitrogen oxide and sulfur dioxide emissions. These gases have negative impacts on the environment. These global greenhouse gases may continue to increase and pose serious health challenges if no mitigation efforts are made or put in place to reduce it. Therefore, advanced cleaner propulsion systems using cleaner energies can be adopted to reduce fuel consumption and reduce significantly gas emissions from combustion engines.
The aim of this regulation is to reduce sulfur content from its present 3.5% to 0.5% by year 2025. That is the goal. And the science around this topic establishes for us clearly that when you are able to achieve this very profound goal, you definitely have cleaner air. There will be high quality fuel that will be used in the industry for the fact. And definitely this will also positively impact on human health. I'm glad to note that this tool at the moment has already begun to function and that the industry has begun to adopt it. So today ship owners, ship operators, and indeed even refineries are actually adopting these changes. I think for us, particularly in this region, it has to be a welcome development.
So as of today, if you are compliant with the minimum requirements, sulfur content, you are actually a green vessel by law. Tomorrow, if we get to 0%, then we'll move it back. So as of today, yes, we are making sure that all the vessels trading are compliant. And how do we ensure, how do we sustain such drive is by constant enforcement, what we call the port control officers that are always out there to inspect the vessels. And because we fully understand the fact that they cannot inspect all the foreign vessels coming in, so we set a minimum. The minimum percentage is that 15% of foreign vessels coming into your country should be inspected.
While the third roundtable session, moderated by Jamilat Mahama, President, Women's International Shipping and Trading Association, WISTA Ghana, focused on marine transportation, logistics, and port development.
When we talk about transport, shipment is just an aspect of transportation. And then we are facing unprecedented explosion of population. So, there's quest for us to meet certain needs. So, we import, we export, and then so there's limit to road, where road can take us to. And there's limit to the quantity of what the road transport can carry. D2. Not every state has the capacity of having the air transport. So, the most globally used means of transportation is the sea. So, as we are facing this type of challenge that we are addressing today on the sea, also the same thing is happening on road transport. I'm afraid whether, because Africa, especially Nigeria, is becoming a dumping ground of Tokumbo vehicles. From the teaching today, I heard that they now have Tokumbo ships now. So they are now bringing the one that is not environmental friendly to them They are now bringing it to us. So that now leads us to the new technologies for greenland shipping in Africa. I was like, do we have greenland ship in Africa? But my daddy has bailed me out. Yes, and then the man that's Imo Abuja or Abuja Imo. MOU, Abuja MOU. He equally bailed me out. So he said, the issue of greener shipping in West Africa. So he now went down to Nigeria. So I could have a respite. Okay. Because I thought all these things. Because when I was doing my own research, I looked at there was policy for greener shipping in South Africa. Yes. And I was looking, where is Nigeria on? Until the Abuja told me, bail me out. He said it's a question of spectrum. Spectrum, yes. That the target was to have 0.05 sulfur content.
As you're probably aware of by now, new technologies for greener shipping has been chosen as a World Maritime theme for 2022, reflecting the need to support the green transition of the maritime sector into a sustainable future while leaving no one behind. With Nigeria accounting for over 60% of the shipping traffic in the Gulf of Guinea, we cannot afford to be left behind in the global quest for new technologies for greener shipping. In line with the IMO's leadership, we must look at the following 3 areas as part of promoting innovation and greener technologies within a maritime domain. First, decarbonization. And the second one is marine plastic litter. And the third is about biofouling.
The event was very interactive, with participants engaging panelists in a question and answer session.
So the issue of certification, what are you doing about that? What are you doing in collaboration about certifying not only your Lark Ferry people, but those other people, because I see some of them when I stand on Lekki Bridge, the speed at which they move. That's why I refuse to enter any of the boats right now. Before the man somersaults me, and I don't know where I'm going to end up. So,
certification is something that we've not been able to do on our own. We've had to liaise with NIMASA because NIMASA does that for them. But however, we've also been looking at ways to say, okay, as a state government, is there anything we can do? Because all we do, to be very honest, is train them and sensitize them on basic safety measures. We do this on a biannual basis constantly. But in terms of certification, we want to see how indeed you're right. They should have some kind of certification for both the captains and the deckhands. Because at the end of the day, if you don't have that certification, you shouldn't. Because what happens is that all these guys from the Laje who come down and because they can ride boats and then they start driving the boat. Well, of course, it's something we're looking to, which is why Light Ferry came to the sector. And the reason why we introduced Light Ferry was to actually set the standards. So all of the skippers at Light Ferry, for example, have all been checked by us. We've noticed that they have all of their certification, and we're doing the same thing even with these local boats now to ensure that, look, and we encourage a lot of the passengers now that, look, if you see anything, say something to us, and we'll obviously deal with the boats.
My question is, what are some of the parameters you use for the establishment of your jetties? Like in the process of doing it, apart from access to what other parameters you use to prioritize specific landing sites for the construction of your jetties?
Yes, apart from the population density, of course, we have to also look at the soil composition of that area as well, and what kind of jetty would you build in that place. So of course, there's all kinds of technical specifications that goes into siting all of those jetties as well. Thank you very much.
Despite the fact that year 2020 and 2021 saw the Lagos International Maritime Week holding virtually as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic, this year's event was the first physical event to be held after the COVID-19 pandemic, which saw a good turnout of participants as some showcased their products and services at the exhibition booth.
of the materials.
The climax of day one saw the conferment of the Lifetime Achievement Award on no other person but on our very own maritime guru, Otumba Kunle Folari, who is the chairman, Port Consultative Council.
In 2010, October 13, 2010, I was with Mimiko, the governor of Ondo State. My group held a maritime and economic summit with him. We spent 5 days with him, and I'm pleased to say that he was there for the 5 days. Because what we saw on the opening day was not to be ceremonial, but we found in technical session that he became a student and not a lecturer. What I'm trying to say here is political will is paramount in this. Ondo State, again, I visited in 2019 with Arakunrin Akeredolu and held 2 days meetings with him, with Mr. Ajayi, who was his deputy governor. We have evidence to show it. On the first economic summit, we spent 5 days and issued a 15-point communique. This communique included, because let me say that the committee was attended by all the local government chairmen and councillors. We will go assure that all the traditional rulers in Ondo State were there. And not let me bore with the presentation. But to say that we arrived at about 15 communities, and I'm not sure that more than one have been appointed today. So I want to remind Arakunrin that he should be a man and be Arakunrin.
Day 2 started on a very good note with 2 roundtable sessions. Both sessions were highly interactive as participants engaged the panelists in a question and answer session. The first roundtable session on women in maritime focused on women and investments in new technologies to support greener shipping in Africa. It was moderated by Irogama Ogbefun, Managing Director, Stars Investments and Engineering Limited.
I need to let you know who we are, UMOCA. UMOCA simply means Women in Maritime of West and Central Africa. It's a regional association created by the International Maritime Organization, IMO. We are the latest, the youngest of the associations that IMO has created. In all, they have 8 regional associations across the world. And we are the youngest. We were just inaugurated last year. We are barely a year old. And our membership cuts across all divides in the maritime sector. We have women with expertise in our midst. We have women who make influence, who are decision makers in their own institutions. We have the young ones who are also aspiring to take up leadership roles in the maritime sector that we are mentoring. And we have all sorts of people in our midst, and everyone in the industry is welcome.
We have spoken so much over the past 2 years of the need to break the barrier for women and ensure gender equality and inclusiveness for women. However, green growth will not automatically increase gender equality. Specific and gender-sensitive policies and interventions are necessary to ensure that women and men can equally benefit from a green economy and greener shipping in Africa.
Everything has to be done, within our capacity as women, either women in the home or women in maritime. How can we contribute to the reduction of the emission? And reduction of emission, reduction of waste, and other things will give us a greener shipping. It will interest us that most of the toxics or most of the hindrances that we have in the vessel, especially in waste, starts from the homes. They start from the homes, then start from the vessels that are operational in the sea, and then of course goes into the sea. And then of course is a culture. And a culture is what you pick up from the home. And then you go to the sea or you go to the vessel. It's either you didn't pick up that culture from home, then it becomes very hard for you to adhere to rules and regulations in the vessel. And then of course, they all end up in the sea.
While the second roundtable session tagged Maritime Training and Education and Law, moderated by Olushola Alamu Esquire, partner Peacock Platform Associates, legal practitioners, was divided into two segments, namely relevant training for green shipping and suppression of piracy and other maritime offenses in the Gulf of Guinea.
But it's noteworthy that this was a Chinese fishing vessel with a mixture of crew of Ghanaians, Ivorians, Chinese, trawling in the Ivorian waterways. The Nigerian Navy boarded the vessel in Ivorian waters, arrested the pirates, and brought them to the NNS Newcroft in Apapa, Lagos, Nigeria, very much in line with the objectives of the SCOMO Act, as well as its application. Because in Section 1 of the Act, the objective of the Act was clear: to prevent, suppress piracy, armed robbery, and any other unlawful act against any ship, aircraft, or any other maritime craft, however propelled, including fixed or floating platform. And the application of the Act expressly provides in Section 2 that any person on board a ship, aircraft navigating in, on, or above the territorial and internal waters of Nigeria, or on or above international waters.
So safety in the maritime industry is really key. Why? Because the international shipping industry is responsible for the carriage of around 90% of world trade. So vessel safety is critical. So this is one of the reasons why it's important. And why do we have piracy? Why do we have armed robbery at sea? Why do we have this sort of altogether? I mean, they are children of the same mother. Armed robbery, piracy, terrorism at sea. Why do we have that? It has been said that this is a result of corruption, weak law enforcement, and poverty. And it has also been said that you do not attack or cannot fight piracy at sea. You have to fight it on land. That is where it comes from. So how do we do that? We need to tackle issues surrounding survival of our people, how they feed, how they eat, how we ensure that our economies are strong enough to sustain us so that people don't go to sea to start fighting and causing trouble.
So that takes us to competence. Quickly, the general comparisons in arbitration, you can choose people who are competent in that area to be your tribunal sole arbitrator or to be a three-man arbitrator or presiding arbitrator. Whereas in litigation it's not very easy. We know that the Federal High Court has, of course, it's a special court, set up exclusively to deal with certain matters, but they don't deal with shipping only, they deal with revenue matters, customs offenses. So competence plays a very decisive role.
In all, the conference had 5 roundtable sessions, which were very interactive, as the communique was read and the vote of thanks and closing remarks given by Oludewa Thorpe, Principal Partner O. Edodo, Thorpe and Associates, legal practitioners.
Participants, sponsors, exhibitors, we have always had your support. And this time again, this 7th one, you are all here to support us. Again, you have done it again, one way or the other. If we had gone through all this organization without you, it would have been difficult. But we are thankful that you are here to support us. So we say a big thank you to each and every one of you for coming
and for making it possible, for supporting us in one way or the other in which you have done it.
The third day, which was the grand finale, saw participants head into the Naval Dockyard Limited, owned by the Nigerian Navy, where vessels for the Navy and other gunboats are being constructed locally by civilians and officers of the Nigerian Navy, which shows the federal government's committed to boosting local content.
I want to, on behalf of the Admiral Superintendent Naval Dockyard Limited, welcome you all to Naval Dockyard Limited. The Admiral would have loved to come and see great men and women here, but today, in fact this week, has been choked for us. Presently, we are expecting an entourage like this from Naval Headquarters. Also, we are having the Admiral is engaged, will be engaged with an entourage also from Domalong Nigeria Limited.
Over here, the Ship Design Center is where we carry out the design of our vessels. At the Naval Design Center, we have designed and built about 6 vessels in total. The first ship was built and was designed and commissioned in 2012. That's our Nigerian Navy ship Andoni. The second one, which is the Civil Defense boat, was commissioned in 2016. And the third one recently commissioned in 2016. So most of our ship processes all starts right here at the Ship Design Center. We have different grades of marine software we use in the design and fabrication design of our vessels. We come with our frame cutting, our design drawing, our system drawing, and the 3D drawing of these vessels. We also perform various analysis from the structural strength of our ships, the hydrostatics, the hydrodynamics, and anything that goes offshore, all are being done right here in the Ship Design Center. We have naval architects, we have draftsmen, we have structural engineers, we have piping engineers. So in the Ship Design Center, we have different teams from different engineering departments that all come together in the design and construction of our Navy ships and other commercial vessels. So we build things from defense boats, patrol boats, barges, houseboats, gunboats, ferries, anything floating, anything offshore. We do the design right here at the Ship Design Center.
It is the heart of dockyard. Docking, undocking, fabrication, welding, measuring, engineering started from here. So here we can see some machines that we have here. Not a very big machine there. For extraction, no matter how difficult the metal is, this machine is ready to deal with it to our own satisfaction. So that is our main concern. And here we do docking, preparation, arrangement of dock and undocking. You can see we start to do some wood there. That's the wooden work.
This is every engineering workshop, and we have safety rules here. Ideally, this yellow line is walkway. You are not supposed to go outside the walkway, but anyway, we are not carrying out any. Meanwhile, we have some equipment here which can give you anything you want as an engineer. If you are working with your shaft, you do shafting, cutting, machining. We produce spanners, working tools with the help of our lathe machines. We have the biggest lathe machine in West Africa, 16 meters length. Yes. Biggest. Sorry. This is the biggest.
In West Africa?
In West Africa, yes, sir.
The purpose of the school, like the name sounds, is to train our naval personnel for the interim now, to train our naval personnel. But in the long run, civilians will also be absorbed in the school for training, specifically for our ships in dockyard, probably maybe in MPA and shipyard. We also have a shipyard in Port Harcourt. So like we can see, sir, here is the hall of the school. And like you can see, we have the fabrication work doing on welding and fabrication precisely. And here we have our welding bay, where we carry out welding.
add-on welding, arc welding, and the likes. In length, 24 meters width, and then the depth is 15 meters. And then it has the capacity to dock a vessel of 10,000 tons. And then, as you can see, this is one of our offshore patrol vessels, NNS Unity. And then it's under the dock on the quays for repairs and maintenance.
For working in naval dockyard,
yes,
do you require that, is it that all the people who work here are mostly engineers, naval architects?
Mostly. Mostly. We have 3 categories of staff here. We have naval personnel, military personnel of various disciplines. I'm a marine engineer. My oga here is a surveyor. We have specialists ranging from electrical, electronics. We have even logisticians, storekeepers, even medical. We also have other supporting disciplines that make up a complete military unit. Naval police, intelligence, and what we call the regiment. That's the military essence, core military men. That is one group of personnel. The second group of people that work here are employees of the Ministry of Defense. We have civilian employees from the Ministry of Defense, ranging from civil engineers, electricians, various disciplines as well, accounts. And then we have civilians, retired military personnel that were employed by the yard. So we have yard staff, we have Ministry of Defense, civilians, and we have pure military personnel.
The theme of the conference, New Technologies for Greener Shipping in Africa, was called from the theme of this year's World Maritime Day by the International Maritime Organization, IMO. However, the conference directed the theme to looking at greener shipping in Africa. It was indeed a huge success as participants look forward to the 8th Lagos International Maritime Week come 2023.